New this morning, the FBI says they are sending additional resources to Tucson to join the effort to find Nancy Guthrie. It's been 10 days since the mother of NBC Today Show host Savannah Guthrie was abducted. And right now, the FBI says they still have not identified a suspect or a person of interest. A purported ransom deadline set for 5 p.m. yesterday has come and gone. Overnight, the FBI released a new statement saying they are not aware of any continued communication between the Guthrie family and suspected kidnappers. It comes after Savannah released a new video yesterday pleading for the public to help. In the absence of new investigative details, there are new details coming from TMZ founder Harvey Levin about one of the purported ransom notes which his media outlet received.
I want to read you I'll read you one line from the ransom note we received. And they say, it is in the best interest of everyone to have this completed as soon as possible. I don't think there is direct contact. I read this first ransom letter as almost braggadocious, that it's sort of, you're not going to find me. The police aren't going to be able to help you. I'm not going to give you any more information. Don't bother trying to find me. It feels almost like you're not going to figure out who I am.
Joining us right now is former FBI Special Agents Richard Kolko and Ken Gray. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. Richard, the Phoenix FBI office statement that they released last night, I read it. I want to read it again, which is the FBI putting out this statement saying, the FBI is not aware of any continued communication between the Guthrie family and suspected kidnappers, nor have we identified a suspect or person of interest in this case at this time. What do you take from them making this decision, very specifically, to put out this statement? What are they trying to do with it?
I think they're probably trying to beat down some rumors at this point that the Guthrie family is in touch with somebody out there. But you got to remember, the decision to make statements, to communicate, belongs to the family. They get to decide what they're going to say and how they're going to say it. The FBI and other law enforcement is there to help support them in that decision. They'll review what is written or what the statement's going to be to make sure that they hit critical points that would be effective with the hostage takers or those they're trying to communicate with. But at the end of the day, Savannah Guthrie is certainly a communications expert. She's probably advised by additional other people, religious leaders, family, attorneys, others that can help her make the decision she wants to do with law enforcement there as part of that decision making. But I would be surprised if she's just ignoring what the FBI is doing. She probably is consulting with them and working with them very closely.
Absolutely. And let's add that into this conversation, Ken, with what Savannah has said most recently. Let me play what she put out in the newest video just yesterday.
I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation.
Ken, does that give you a window into, I don't know, what they're dealing with, have or don't have in terms of a lead? Does it feel like the investigation has hit a wall from your vantage point?
Absolutely. So the first two communications from the Guthrie family was appeals to the kidnapper. The first one to humanize their mother, try to get contact with them to start negotiation. The second one, much more shorter. Yes, we will pay. We want our mother back. This one, on the other hand, is not towards the kidnapper. This one is towards the public seeking potential leads for law enforcement, because right now law enforcement seems to be running up against a wall here. So far, day 10, we don't have any suspects. We don't have any persons of interest. We see law enforcement there repeating steps they've already taken before. And so this appeal to the public to generate additional leads, this was an act of desperation, I think, on the part of the Guthrie family to try to move this forward.
It's so It is so heartbreaking to see that it has gotten into a 10th day that Nancy Guthrie is out there, and Savannah and her siblings and their families are just needing to live through this nightmare still. Richard, the statement, the information that Harvey Levin at TMZ has put out, I found very interesting, in how, talk about a communication specialist. He is a man who is very adept in speaking publicly. What do you make of how he has characterized the purported ransom note that TMZ received? Does that sound like a typical ransom communication?
That's a great question, and I listened to what he had to say, and he thought it was a very well-written, well-prepared letter. I certainly agree with that. Whether it was AI assisted or somebody had the ability to write that note on their own is fine. But I don't think we've touched on the reasons specifically why people would, may carry out this kidnapping. There's basically one of three things that likely happened. A lot of kidnappings may be for some political reason, revenge. They have some statement that they want to make about current events, and none of that appears in that first letter. So it doesn't appear it's that. Another reason that people do kidnappings, obviously, is ransom, to make money. And they know that you have to establish that two-way communication, working with the negotiators to get that proof of life before anybody's going to hit send on a Bitcoin for millions and millions of dollars. The third one is, somebody had some interaction with Nancy Guthrie and then something just went wrong. And that's what law enforcement and FBI are working to discover right now. And while they haven't released anything about a specific suspect or what kind of leads they have, I've sat in these command posts. I know Ken has as well. My guess is that there are many agents in there, or deputies, police, that have their own theories on what happened, and they're working towards those theories. And whether they're right or wrong, it's just as important to investigate them, because if they're wrong, they want to put them out of the way, and if they're right, they want to head down that investigative path.
So interesting, and you hit on something I actually was going to ask about, Richard. Ken, let me ask you about this, which is, when this started, when we first learned of her disappearance, it was not clear when you were hearing from law enforcement that if this was, they believe it was a crime of opportunity, a random burglary gone wrong, or somehow connected to Savannah's name and fame. Now, after how much time has passed, the purported ransom notes that have come out, do you leave open the possibility this still could have started as a random crime, or do you think the FBI is working with the assumption that Nancy was targeted because of her daughter's high profile?
So I believe that the FBI is looking at all possibilities in this case. One being that this was not a kidnapping at all, that somebody is joining in on this situation and trying to make money out of it. And that could explain why they are not providing proof of life, is because they don't have the proof of life to be able to fulfill that request. You notice there's no two-way communications here, by the way. It's all broadcast out with no exchange of information. But in addition to the possibility that this may not even be a kidnapping from the first place, it could be a crime that started out as just a crime, maybe a break into our place that turned into a kidnapping, which may have gone bad, but it's still an attempt to gather some profit off of this. But I'm sure that they are pursuing those avenues in addition to the kidnapping itself. But the lack of communication here, if you're trying to get money from somebody for kidnapping, you're going to want to exchange information. You want to give them a way to contact you so you can prove that you have them, so you can get that payment. And that's not occurring.
Yeah, it is just so sad, confounding, and horrible. Richard, Ken, thank you both for coming on. I appreciate your time.